Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today's game is going to be between SC2 and TSL Revival. This is a Terran versus Zerg matchup. We are here on the map Cloud Kingdom. Let's go ahead and begin this game as always with some player information. Starting up here in the upper right hand spawn position with our red player SC2. Ver is a North American Grand Master Terran formerly on Team Czech 6 Gaming. He also plays for the University of North Texas in the CSL. Most recently, Ver took first place at the Blizzard StarCraft 2 WCS USA qualifier, and this was on April 21st of 2012. His opponent down over here in the lower left-hand spawn position is our blue player TSL Revival. Revival is a Zerg player and former Brood War player from South Korea. He most recently took second place at the Zotac Cup monthly final June 2012, which was actually in July 24th of this year. And it's just interestingly enough, it also says here on his Wikipedia page that he is currently playing for Evil Geniuses, although in this replay he's playing for TSL. So apparently neither of these players, again according to the Wikipedia page, neither of these players currently playing for the team that they were playing in this replay. Though I got sent this replay, told it was a pretty fun game, so we'll have to see how it ends up playing out. Let's go ahead and hop into the match. Starting off here, we've got an SCV scout now moving out for SC2, heading directly towards Revival's main base. Revival about to come out with his expansion. You can see that drone there, right, placing down the hatchery right there at the natural, and nothing else going on in his main. We should be seeing that spawning pool sometime after, and then of course the extractor to follow, unless he decides to go gasless here in the early game. His opponent, Ver, now with the very early expansion, you can see he actually is getting that command center before he comes out with his first barracks. A little bit more risky here as a Terran player. Zerg players are much more comfortable going expansion before any production capabilities, but given the fact that Revival did decide to go hatch first and then held off on that pool for so long, I'm actually expecting Ver will be okay here. I don't think he'll have to be too worried about early Zergling harass, because it still will be quite a while until any of those Zerglings come into play. First, still just sort of chilling out here with the SCV. Again, no reason for him to leave until that spawning pool finishes and we do see Zerglings in production. So until then, he can just kind of dance around all he wants. Ver almost done with that expansion. You can see about 3/4 of the way finished. Also has that first barracks building. You can see Revival has scouted that out. We're going to move forward to try to scout the barracks. There it is, about halfway done. And a refinery getting close to finish here as well. Now, as soon as that barracks finishes, we will be seeing this command center turn into an orbital command, and then it should be this will be done by that time too, so we should be seeing actually 2 orbital commands from him. You can see him pulling up those minerals right now to make sure he can afford those as soon as that barracks finishes. Spawning pool now done, extractor up and mining some Vespene. We've got 2 Zerglings in production, and the barracks now finishing. We should see those 2 orbital commands, and there you go. So we've got that gas going through, which means we will be seeing likely a factory sometime soon here for Ver, and with that he will of course be coming out with Hellions is what my expectation is going to be, which could be a problem if he does in fact do that, because look at this, back over here, Revival coming out with that Roach Warren. We'll be seeing some roaches in play very, very shortly from him, and as you know, or if you don't, roaches very strong against Hellions, also very strong against Marines. So unless Ver comes out with some Marauders, he might be hard-pressed to deal with a Roach push, which is apparently what Revival is coming out with here. You can see he's actually held off on droning up and saturating this expansion for the sake of holding on to some resources, holding on to that extra larva to come out with these roaches as soon as this Roach Warren finishes. Roach Warren now done. Let's see those roaches in production. We've got at least 2, 4. You're going to see probably about 7, maybe a little bit more, but 7 to 9 is usually what you see around this sort of a timing push, and he could just go all for roaches. Sometimes you'll see some Zerglings mixed in with it as well, but it looks like Revival choosing not to do that. He is just going to be sticking roach heavy here, and we'll be seeing a very, very strong push from him in just one moment. Now, we do have this one bunker with a couple of Marines, and we did see that transition into a factory, switching there with the reactored barracks. You can see that switch, and now we're going to see those double Hellions. So it is Hellions like I expected. We also have a Starport coming through. I'm a little bit concerned right now for Ver, as we do have those roaches now marching across the map here in play at the moment. Total is 10 roaches, and then starting to transition now into drones so they can get his economy up and running. Going to be a very strong push, though, for Revival, and we'll have to see how Ver manages to deal with this. Again, right now, his units can't really handle this. He's going to need to come out some roaches. We do also have that starport, and I think we'll be seeing, yes, we should be seeing a Banshee from that, but the damage will be done before that comes through. We've got another command center building as well in the main. He was really going econ focused. This roach push is going to hurt quite a bit. We've got some mass repair going down now on the bunker, on the supply depot, which is stopping those roaches from pushing into the main. And now these Hellions coming down to do some damage. You can see actually doing significant damage to the roaches. Roaches do want to start target firing down those SCVs, which is what they are doing now. Hellions still doing work, and right now he's buying time for that Banshee to come through, also trying to finish up this bunker to let his Marines walk in there. It would be nice if we saw some Marauder. Yes, we do have one Marauder in production. He still hasn't broken through, finally killing off a supply depot, allowing him to walk into the main, but so much time was bought. That was actually really, really impressive there by Ver. He bought himself enough time for that Banshee. Now that the Banshee's in play, obviously those roaches can't deal with that, but it will take that Banshee quite some time to kill the rest of these roaches, so they're still going to move forward and try to do as much damage as possible. Marauder now in play, doesn't get into the bunker in time. That was quite a bit of a mistake there by Ver. That Marauder would have been a lot more effective had he walked into that bunker, but the roaches still doing work. Let's take a look here at the resources and workers killed. Let's see, we've got 18 worker kills so far. Those roaches are now finally being finished off, but 18 workers killed. Another roach now actually moving down into the natural expansion. In terms of resources lost, Ver quite a bit behind, 1875 as opposed to 1,000. So overall, looks like that did pay off for Revival. Again, killing off all those workers helps him quite a bit. We'll take a look at the income tab. You can see Revival at a significant advantage right now, especially since all those SCVs just pulled off the line because of that one roach. And now as he transitions into an economy focus, you can see nice saturation here in the main and the natural. Also coming out with a Spire, which will allow him to go up into, I don't know, will we just see mutas, or is he going to try to make the push all the way up to... No, he's not going to do Brood Lords this early, and he also does not have the Infestation Pit out to allow him to come out with that layer. So we won't be seeing Brood Lords, so we should be seeing just some Mutalist play here from him. And I guess it wouldn't even hurt to come out. No, he's just probably going to do Muta Roach, because I was going to say possibly Banelings, but you can see he's getting the Roach upgrade, so it looks like he plans to continue with the Roaches. And then again, with this Spire, we could see some Mutas, or just some Corruptors to deal with the Banshees. And speaking of Banshees, Banshee's now moving forward as Ver tries to do some counter harass of his own, but because of that Queen and that one Spore Crawler, there's enough to force him back. And we also have the Overseer that will be spotting these Banshees just in case they have Cloak. They do not have Cloak, though. Cloak is not being researched, but at least keeping eyes on them certainly can't hurt either. 8 Mutas just about to pop now here for Revival, at which point he'll be able to quite easily deal with these guys. So here we go, Muta's now in play, and then once he deals with these Banshees, probably just going to see him move out for some counter aggression. Now we are seeing some missile turrets come into play here for Ver, realizing that there is now that Banshee transition. I don't know that he actually scouted the Spire. I know he didn't, but obviously he sees those Mutas now. He sees that Muta transition, so placing down those missile turrets is going to help him quite a bit. Stemmed up Marines also very, very effective. And actually, even just that one missile turret is enough of a, believe it or not, that one missile turret is enough of a deterrent against these 8 Mutalists, especially with all those SCVs to mass repair it. That one missile turret can actually be quite scary. Muta's moving in, killing off that one constructing turret, and they're actually going to go straight for these refineries. Try to cut back on that incoming Vespene there for Ver, which will really hurt his ability to tech up and come out with well, these upgrades that he's coming through with right now, if we wanted to follow those up with any additional ones. And of course, we also see that armory coming through, so it looks like he's playing some mech transition. We do have a siege tank, and these Mutas now doing work here on the orbital command. We are seeing a 3rd and a 4th base getting placed down here for Revival. That orbital command forced to lift off. He's going to be forced to repair that as well beyond... Okay, so it isn't burning anymore. When it's burning is when you have to worry, because it will burn all the way down, but you just repair just enough to stop that burning, and then you are all set. Exactly the type of burning I'm talking about. These Mutas continue to do some damage here, forcing the liftoff of that barracks. And the transition now, Banelings are in fact coming through. We do see that Baneling nest right here. So we'll allow him to move out with the Spieling and Baneling Muta composition. And he still has 3 roaches in play as well. Unfortunately for Ver, really hasn't been able to do a lot of damage. You can see still quite a bit behind. Total worker killed so far this game. 23 workers killed for Revival, only 3 for Ver. And we look at those resources lost again. You can see he is quite a bit behind. So Revival in a very, very, very strong position right now, as he's now working to saturate that 3rd and 4th. We'll look at that income too. Again, he's got the advantage there. Just TSL's Revival with the advantage across the board. Or is it EG Revival now? I really don't know. It's so strange to me. Very, very rarely is it the case that the Wikipedia page is wrong when it comes to player information. So I just have to assume that this is maybe a little bit of an older game. Nevertheless, though, pretty exciting. Pretty exciting indeed. Okay, now Mutalisk will be moving in to the natural to continue to try to do some harass. Just the 1 missile turret there. Mutalisk will be doing some damage to the refinery. Also some splash damage from that glaive attack, hitting a few of those SCVs. Not quite enough, though, as he is forced back from the stemmed up Marines. Very, very dangerous. Also seeing some supply depots get placed down. So Ver now in a pretty strong defensive position, but, you know, he hasn't been able to expand, which is something he's trying to do now. And we now have a 5th base coming out for Revival. So Revival really still in a really dominant position. In fact, we'll take a look at the army size. 59 armor supplies as opposed to 43. We've got lots of speedlings and banelings in production. Also transition into hive tech, which will mean the ability to make a greater spire and eventually come out with good old brood lords if he so desires. 2-2 upgrades coming through here, as well as the speed upgrade for the banelings, allowing them to catch up to those light units much quicker. And here comes a push for Revival, now moving up with those speedlings, banelings, and infestors. Infestors, of course, will be used for the fungal growth. Besides doing damage, rooting these units in place, allowing the banelings to catch up, and that's probably exactly how we should expect this upcoming engagement to go. I don't know that he's going to wait for his 2-2 upgrades. We do have Ver with some upgrades, but he's just sitting 1-1 here. He's also coming out with a 1 mechanical upgrade, and he's just sticking to Marine Tank, trying to go for a nice spread to stop any speedling, baneling push from being as effective, but there are a lot here. 110 army supplies opposed to 52. You can see right now Revival is supply capped, and here come the speedlings and banelings now pushing into the 3rd base. They're just going to roll right through everything. Banelings popping on the Marines. There's the fungal growth on the Marines as well, allowing the rest of these banelings to catch up. And that is pretty much his entire army. Speedlings and Mutas doing some damage over here. More speedlings, reinforcements streaming across, taking out the tanks, now moving into the natural expansion. And Ver really's got nothing to deal with this. So these speedlings are continuing to do some damage here. We do have a couple of Marines up in the main, but there it is. Ver calls the GG. Ver took a bit of a risk this game, not only going for the quick command center before barracks, but then also moving into a 3rd command center. We saw a early roach push here from Revival, and then after that he just maintained dominance of the game, continuously being aggressive, following up with some muta harass, and then eventually with this very large and effective push. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this game here between Ver and Revival. As always, if you like the content, please be sure to subscribe. More SC2 and other great gaming coverage here on the channel. Keep watching and keep owning.